All right, great. Today we have with us Dr. Angel Hill, who is has a doctor of naturopathy, and she's a board certified doctor of natural medicine. And she's here today to talk to us about morning rituals for our health. Hello,
Yes,
Dr. Hill. It's awesome to have you here.
thank you so much, Kelly. I'm glad to be here. In the last 14 years, I've seen 7,000 clients. And in that time, there's been this huge line of people kind of having the same thought process or the same issue going on. And it's been energy. They need more energy. And I've discovered through the years that getting morning rituals going for people really, and they don't have to pick them all, they can just pick one or two, really helps people with their energy. So I'm so happy that we get to talk about that today.
Me too. That has definitely been a predominant issue in my adult life. So I'm excited to listen.
Awesome. Well, I feel like getting the started with your morning ritual actually starts the night before, getting a good night's sleep. And we're going to talk about some things today that actually help you get a good night's sleep. But that's one, if people can have consistent bedtimes and consistent wake up times, it really helps them have a good day the next day. But one of the first things that I like people to do in the morning is when they wake up, if they could walk outside, take their tea or whatever they're drinking, and look at the sun. This is so cool. We actually have receptors in the back of our eyes that see that sun and see where it is in the sky, and it tells our body where we are in the day. And so when we check in, like if say we do that first thing in the morning, and then midday we look at the sun again, and then at night before we kind of go to bed we look at the moon again, that tells our brain when to start producing the melatonin. And I just think that's the so coolest thing that our body does that. So it's free, it's simple, it's really easy. And they have found that, say it's you're so living somewhere that is really cold and you can't do that, even just looking out the window helps because our brain can still get that message of where we're at in the day.
That's awesome. I didn't ever realize that getting out and getting the visual connection, or like you say, through the window. So that's exciting. I knew our bodies were supposed to produce the melatonin when night fell, but it wasn't always happening. So that may be why.
No, and yeah, and a lot of us are looking at our phones before we go to bed and things like that. So the more we can get things dark before we go to bed, it really helps us the next morning. And then I tell people the next morning, we get all our vitamins and stuff we hope out of our food, but our minerals we're just not really getting from our food anymore. So I tell people for their first drink of the day, they should do an electrolyte drink. Now, I do give sort of a warning because I like people to do the electrolytes without any sugar or added food coloring. Sugar for obvious reasons. We don't want to mess up your blood sugar while we're trying to get everything's going. But food coloring actually is made from petroleum, and none of us are deficient in petroleum, so we don't need to get that back into our diet. um, but electrolytes, I actually got a list here because it's just so fascinating what they can do. I personally like to use electrolytes because they're our spark plug for our hormones, and that's what I specialize in, but they support healthy brain function, exercise performance, blood pressure, mood issues, and even immune system. So it's those minerals that we're lacking so much in our diet because they've been farmed out of the soil. If we can get those first thing in the morning, I've had clients that in just one week notice a significant difference in their lives, their energy, everything, just by making this one change.
Wow, that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
And will we learn from you kind of how to do an electrolyte drink, or is it just a basic electrolyte drink?
Yeah, so you have two options. Electrolytes actually are the four base minerals, which is calcium, magnesium, potassium, and sodium. And when we can get those four basic minerals, it really helps all the rest of our minerals be balanced out. But some people are like, don't necessarily want to do an electrolyte that has all those minerals in it, but they still want to work on their adrenal glands, which are kind of our energy center. And so they'll do what they call an adrenal cocktail. And listen up because I do my adrenal cocktail differently, y'all. So a lot of people use orange juice for their adrenal cocktail, but orange juice provides us insulin spike, and that causes us all kinds of problems, including hormone imbalances and weight gain, and we don't want that. So I actually like to use either a cup of water or a cup of coconut water. Coconut water has potassium in it. So you can kind of make your own electrolyte drink. So you can have a cup of water or potassium, the coconut water, and you add like an eighth of a teaspoon of salt. And you want to use good salt, like real salt or Celtic salt or Himalayan salt, something like that. People are always worried about getting sodium in their diet, but the sodium we need to worry about is the sodium that's in packaged foods. Really good mineral rich salt is actually good for us. Our body needs that. And then finally, a half a squeeze of lemon. So what all this does is the salt is for the adrenals. The adrenals need more sodium than any other organ of the body. And they need it first thing in the morning because they have to get that cortisol up so that we have that morning boost. And so when you give your body that salt, and the lemon actually helps alkaline us so we're not too acidic or too neutral there, or too anyway. And let's see, salt. Oh, and then the water, if you're not doing the coconut water, the water is obviously hydrating because we've been dehydrated all night long, but the coconut water adds that extra potassium, and some people need that. And there's testing I do with people to help them really narrow down exactly what they need as well.
That's awesome. I'm
Yeah,
taking notes as you
no
talk. I'm like,
problem.
oh,
I'll tell you something
uh,
cool about the testing for the minerals too. It's called hair tissue mineral analysis. And what's cool is that the Environmental Protection Agency actually uses it, because it not only does it tell you your mineral status for the last 3 months through your hair, but it also tells you your heavy metal status. And so that's what the Environmental Protection Agency uses it for when they have to go into like a Superfund site and they're trying to check everybody. It's a way to really get it pretty quickly and find out what's going on. So it's kind of cool to check like that and see where your minerals are and your heavy metals. And then my next tip would be to have some protein and fat for your first meal of the day, whenever that is. And I
okay.
like people to try to get about 15 to 30 grams of that protein in the morning. And when they do that, what happens is it sets their insulin levels for the day. So they're not spiking all over the place like we were talking about earlier, which makes us gain weight. None of us want that.
No.
And it's phenomenal. And so people are always like, what do I do? Well, the first thing we need to remember about breakfast is that it's a made up thing. We can eat anything we want anytime of the day. It was back in the early 1920s that they came up with marketing and made it like breakfast had to be a certain thing. So I like to people to remember
Wow.
that. But you can do breakfast food like eggs and avocado are a good one. I eat leftovers from the night before all the time for breakfast. So like this morning, I had a half of a chicken breast for breakfast.
Okay.
Um, and last, you can do protein powders, but I do prefer people to actually get some chewing going on in the morning, because the act of chewing actually helps our hormones get going, helps level out our insulin levels as well too. But it's amazing how much your mood balances when you're not having insulin spikes all day, messing with your mood and your hormones for sure.
I had learned don't spike your insulin level right off the bat in the morning, and that was definitely an improvement for me. But the rest of this will be really helpful new things that, like, I didn't know you could make an adrenal cocktail so easy. I was like, oh, wow.
Yes.
It sounds complicated, right?
It's so easy. And people really notice a difference really quickly on that. And I have a statistic in a few minutes I'll pull out for you. I did want to mention a couple other things about that breakfast. If you have coffee, that's fine. I'm not having a problem with anybody having coffee, but make sure to actually have it with your meal rather than alone, because again, they have found that coffee on an empty stomach raises our blood sugar.
Oh,
And so if we can have it with a meal, it's a completely different experience for us. And of
oh,
course, when we're thinking about coffee, we have to think about what we're putting in it. So I tell people
yeah,
to watch their liquid sugars. Like in the South, we have sweet tea. Everybody's drinking sweet tea. But
yes.
sodas, sports drinks even. I'm tell people to be really careful with those,
Okay,
especially first thing in the morning.
right. Okay. And of course, I'm sure, and you see young people, especially drinking those energy drinks all the time. I'm sure those can't be good.
They really aren't. And they're actually harmful for your adrenal glands. It's funny. I used to be a school teacher years ago. And I would had to work the bus line occasionally, or actually the parent drop off, and I would see these like 10, 11, and 12-year-old kids in middle school getting out with these huge energy drinks, and it would just kill me.
I
But
bet.
and then everybody wondered why they couldn't focus in class. I was like, but yeah, just that jolt, anytime we have any kind of insulin spikes, not only is it affecting our hormones, they've actually, you may have heard this, they call Alzheimer's now type 3 diabetes. You can Google it. And
I
what they
did.
found is, yeah, we have all these insulin receptors on our brain. And so every time something spikes, it causes a brain issue too. So we all, weight gain and brain, none of us want that. And just
And
those two things I mentioned, like the blood sugar balancing and hydration in the morning.
mhm.
There's this real famous author. Her name is Isabella Wentz, and her area is thyroid health, but she also does adrenal health too. And she put like thousands of people through her program. And she had all these interventions they could do, like 25 interventions. And the hydration in the morning, the adrenal cocktail, and the blood sugar regulation in the morning were the two that everybody agreed were the best things they could do. So
Wow,
that's, yeah, if you can't do anything else.
awesome. And those are doable, you
Yeah,
know.
and free.
Yeah, I love lemon in my water, and back on the salt, just like mi- you said mineral salt. So
Yeah, so
Is-
I like real salt. Real salt comes from Utah. That's the actual name of it, is real salt.
Okay.
And then you can get Celtic salt. Sometimes it comes from Afghanistan and sometimes it comes from France. You have to kind of find those. And then Himalayan salt is the other. And it usually always comes from Afghanistan. And I actually work with a health food store, and we've been having trouble getting the ones from overseas. That's the
Oh,
other
okay.
thing. Sometimes it's easier to get real salt because it is in this country out of Utah.
Oh, okay. I'm taking those notes too, because I had heard of the Himalayan salt, the pink salt, but I hadn't heard of the name real salt. So
Yeah, and if you have access to any of those, do use
Mhm.
them. They're all good.
Okay.
Definitely.
Do you drink yours warm or cold or?
I like room temp for me, but other people like it different ways. Some people who are trying to lose weight actually like to do cold water because that helps getting your metabolism up a little bit. So,
Okay.
one of the other things that people tend to notice in the morning is like they wake up and they're kind of creaky. There's a lot of inflammation going on. And or the other part of that kind of related is anxiety in the morning, first thing. And something that actually helps both of those, it's the same thing, is deep breathing. What
Okay.
we've learned, yeah. So when we're inflamed, if we can take 3 deep breaths, it actually allows our body to calm that inflammation down. And the other thing that happens is cortisol, which our adrenals produce, and we want it high in the morning and low at night. That's kind of how it's supposed to go. But we'll have spikes of cortisol through the day too when we're not supposed to, just like we have those insulin spikes. And if
Mhm.
we can, this is the trick for me, is I got to recognize it's happening. But if you recognize it's happening and take 3 deep breaths, it literally, they prove it in research, like your adrenals will stop shooting out the cortisol and they'll relax. But the trick is trying to remember when to do it.
That's it.
And research has also shown when we can do that deep breathing, it actually gets the garbage moving in our lymph. So it's not clogged up everywhere. And that'll happen for people. I actually had a client one time, he got lymph cancer. I mean, because it just got, clogged up so much.
Yeah.
Something else people can do in the morning too that's related to all of this is if you've ever heard of dry brushing before you jump in the
Mhm.
shower, yeah, just take a natural bristle brush and go towards your heart, so wherever you're at on your body. But that helps get the lymph going. It also helps circulation. And ladies, if you're interested, a lot of people say it helps with cellulite. So
Awesome.
yeah,
Awesome.
dry brushing is always a good idea as well. I also, there's 3 more things I kind of just wanted to mention to people. And these are ones that everybody's probably heard of, but I always say take all of these and kind of pick what you like. So meditating or reading something in the morning always helps. When my daughter was at home, I actually used to get up a little bit early so I could do that before she got moving.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, that's not a problem anymore. So, but
Yeah.
I still actually will still get up a little bit early. And for me personally, I like to read for about 15 minutes and then I like to sit calmly for about 15 minutes. But whatever works for you, if you can get 10 minutes of just sitting calmly, that's always going to be helpful to get through the day.
I can see taking your adrenal cocktail, stepping outside possibly, and doing a little bit of that reading. You'd be killing three birds with one stone.
Absolutely. And sometimes I'll do that, particularly when it's a little bit warmer. I just sit out on my front porch or I have a little shed in the back. I'll go sit in it.
Mhm.
And some people will combine meditation with movement as well. So, like, stretching for 10 minutes. It doesn't have to be long, but getting our body moving will help with that inflammation. We're breathing when we're stretching usually. So, that'll get us moving too. And then setting an intention for the day and just say, today's going to be a good day. Let's hope it's going to be a
Yes.
good day. And that's always, so those last 3 are things that a lot of people talk about in their morning rituals, but I did want to mention them because I don't want to discount those. I just wanted to mention earlier things that people don't normally think about for morning rituals.
I had not heard that before about, get outside, take a look at the sun or, the time of day, morning, noon, and then night to see the sun going down.
Yeah, it's really awesome when you start doing it. And if you ever go camping, a lot of people will notice when they go camping, they sleep better, their bodies seem to work better. And it's because you're kind of going with the sun, if you think about it.
So how did you kind of, I guess just in working with people, you've just kind of realized that they didn't have these rituals, morning rituals going, and it just kind of became one of your pillars to talk about because it was so common.
Absolutely. particularly, well, you know what, the water in the morning and the blood pressure, I mean, the blood sugar. Blood sugar is a big one. Just
Mhm.
it literally changes people's life in like a week. That's what I noticed. People call me back, oh my goodness, I can't believe this is happening. So that's kind of how over the years, plus research coming out on it and things, but just
Yeah.
seeing it, because everybody has energy issues that comes to see me. And so that's where I start with people. We get on their minerals right, and then we go to energy, and I work on the hormone hierarchy, which the adrenals, just cortisol is the hormone that it produces. So cortisol, insulin, thyroid, and sex hormones. That's the hormone hierarchy. And so basically what that means is if the adrenals are the cortisol, if it's not balanced, no other hormone can be balanced. So we got to work on those adrenals, and these morning rituals are things that help those adrenals. So with everything else can get a little better as we go along through the day.
So I was thinking about the cortisol spikes and stress. So, but also like you're saying throughout the day, if you feel those times of extreme stress, just stop and take some of those slow, deep breaths might help.
If we
Uh,
can remember, yes.
okay. If we can remember, yeah, when we're stressed out. So how do you, like, if somebody's interested in kind of getting started with like having you check out I guess do some testing and stuff, how does that work?
Yeah, so if you're interested, you can go to my website. It's alternativehealthwithangel.com, or you can follow me on my socials. I'm at Alt Health Angel, so it's ALT Health Angel. And I have a video that you can watch to see how you can work with me. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I'm out there all the time.
That's awesome. That's exciting.
And thank you so much for this, Kelly. I'm so glad you're offering this for people.
Thank you. It's been an exciting process, a learning process, but exciting meeting all the speakers. And I have definitely learned from everybody, and you've all been just wonderful to work with. So I think that will all come across to the audience, to just all the enthusiasm and the knowledge and the care and concern that all of the speakers have had for helping people. And it's exciting.
That's awesome. And most people that do this kind of thing, we're just all who want to help people. That's all.
Mhm.
It's our goal.
And then I know I'll let you tell a little bit about your freebie that you have. I know you're offering a freebie, I think.
Yes, I am. So it is a master class that you can either watch visually, or if you want, you can like put it on and walk around the block and listen to it as a podcast. But we get into more deeply what I talked about today. And actually it gives you like, you can see it in writing, things that you can do. So it's
Uh-huh.
just a little bit more easier to follow along. But we definitely go deeper. And I talk about a few more things like mitochondria and how to eat in different ways to help your energy. So it's been a real success. People love it. It's only like 20 minutes, I think maybe a little less than that. But people, it's nice to go walk around your block and listen to.
I'm sure most everybody has issues, like you say, with fatigue and the energy level. I know I've had, like I say, problems with the cortisol being out of whack. And so I'm looking forward to implementing these. I'm going to try the adrenal cocktails because I particularly kind of had some adrenal fatigue going on, and I would definitely like to see the change that makes.
Yeah, I'd like excited to hear about it. Let me know.
I will. I will. Thank you so much for meeting with us today and
Thank
sharing
you.
some of your expertise, and then the freebie that you've got for us that will take our learning a little deeper. So thank you so
Absolutely. Thank you so
much.
much.